believe there ever was such a goose cooked.
Such a tender goose.
And such flavour.
Such size.
Oh, and so cheap.
It started about a conversation about how National Theatre could make a Christmas show. And if we were to make a Christmas show, what would that be? How could we realise Dickens's idea of those ghosts and those visions? And it's really difficult to realise those things on stage because actors can't float, try as they might, and they can't rip their head off and continue the conversation. And those are the kinds of things that Dickens asks us to believe is going on. And so it seemed to me the obvious thing, therefore, to do was to incorporate puppets into the storytelling.
Bear but a touch of my hand on your heart, and you shall be upheld in more than this.
Dickens refers to it as a ghost story, and it's got a dark heart.
It's a very disturbing, it's a very dark piece. It's usually associated with kids' theatre, but we've decided to make them sinister, and I think most of my puppets tend to be quite sinister anyway, so I think that's why he's chosen to use me.
Essentially, the story of A Christmas Carol is the story of an old man who has a heart as cold as winter, who has such a terrible night, such a nightmare that he changes the rest of his life. So that nightmare is really what we've concentrated on, trying to work out what would be scary, and how could we make that palatable in the right way.
Well, maybe we'll send a few shivers down a few spines. If we can do that, then we're on the road. We're on the road to the right place.
It may be in the sight of heaven, you worth less than this poor man's child.
And it is a very emotional piece. It's a very dark piece, and I think it's what's interesting for me with this project is working very strongly with the text. It's obviously very text-based, but it's a very visual piece as well. And I think getting the pathos to come through, the empathy for the characters, and to go on that emotional journey of Scrooge from a miserable old git to someone who's much more enlightened at the end. It's very satisfying.
If you can start believing in it, it doesn't really matter who's in the audience, whether it's a child or whether it's an adult. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and doing it well, we're all suckers for watching things like the Muppet Show or whatever. And I mean, everybody, that was enjoyable to all ages, and hopefully this will have the same impact.
The shadows of the future remain unaltered. None other of my race will find him here.
If you hide yourself as a puppeteer, there'll always be someone who says, "Oh look, there's someone dressed in black like a ninja," and I can see them, and you kind of ruin the illusion. As you say, if you're true and you're saying, "Look, it's operated by an actor who's stood behind," get over it. Then in fact, I think it's stronger because you're not trying to hide anything.
If it's engaging enough, the person who's working the puppet just literally disappears before your very eyes, and all your focus is on what's going on. In the puppeteer's hands.
This is the first time I've seriously dabbled in the kind of alchemy of puppetry, and it's extraordinary. It's because what we do as an audience is we invest a huge amount in little bits of paper mache, and we say, "Oh, he looks sad." Now, of course, the puppet doesn't have any facial muscles. The puppet isn't doing anything. We are suggesting that the puppet's looking sad, and there's a certain kind of magic in that, a simple, rough magic, which is quite beautiful.